Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is titled, So, how's retirement going? Well, same as my goal to live forever. So far, so good. Now, I've had a few people ask me, well, tell me about airline pilots in retirement. Well, everybody's different. I can tell you my story, and maybe you can learn something from that, but, it's my story, my particular story. Now, a lot of airline pilots, because the job is a little bit tentative, if you will, you're always one physical away from being grounded forever. A lot of them have kind of backup jobs. Well, I got involved very early on the technical side with Airline Pilots Association because I had had a flight test background, engineering background. There were some people who wanted me to get involved with activities with the Airline Pilots Association, ALPA. So I ended up getting on the new aircraft committee and I ended up chairing it for a good number of years. So while people were going out doing their businesses, I was having fun flying new airplane. I can't complain about that. Didn't add to the bankroll, but I had a good time. I can't complain. Okay, there comes a time to retire. Now, it's age discrimination. Yes, okay, whatever. Um, I was lucky though. I got to fly to 65 after United went bankrupt shortly after 9/11. That extra 5 years really helped to offset the losing the pension. Well, I didn't lose it. I didn't, one day go, honey, I misplaced my pension. Where was it? Now, it was stolen from us. Now, okay. I'm really not complaining because there are people who have it better and there are people who have it much, much worse. You just look at Eastern airlines like that. These guys had it much worse. So all in all, I'm actually very satisfied. I'm very happy. And yeah, it could have been better. It could have been a lot worse. So be that as it may. Now, for those guys who went out at 60, okay, that's a little early to stop flying. It used to be, when I was 20, I thought people 40 were near death, but, 50 is the new 30, 80 is the new dead. But the guys went out at 60, and especially a lot of them had bankruptcy issues also. So they would get into places like NetJets or fly for private wealthy individuals. And that was a good way to keep the money coming in and to still enjoy flying. And it's kind of interesting. This is not a retirement job, which one of the guys pointed out, and is very true. Your retirement job was being a wide-body captain for a major airline like United, Delta, or American. That was a nice job. That was an easy job. I didn't have to load bags. I didn't have to pump the fuel. I didn't have to do anything. You get into one of these situations, yeah, you can be loading bags. You can be helping with the fueling as necessary. You do have to do all the flight planning. You got to do a lot of work. And you don't necessarily have all the nice union contract protections, so this is working. That's not a retirement job. It's working, but it's a way to kind of keep the funds coming in. Now, I enjoyed my time at United. I enjoyed it very much. The people were great to work with. I really enjoyed it. Where are we going to have dinner in Rome tonight? Oh no, we had it there last week. Stuff like that. It was a fun job, and I miss the people. I don't miss being continually jet lagged in that. Oh, I miss the paycheck, I'll tell you that. But, I was happy to go into retirement. I was content. And there are a number of reasons for this. Now, early on in my career, when I was a fairly new pilot, as a second officer in the 27, the co-pilot and I are talking about retirement strategies and stuff like this, and Captain turns around and says, I'll give you the best retirement advice anybody can ever give you. And I go, oh, that's great. What is it? He says, stay married to your first wife. I kind of thought he was joking. I found out later, no. Supposedly there is a retired 747 captain who is living in a one-room apartment after his fifth divorce. Yeah, not a good thing. Well, my parents went through the Depression, and my dad was a World War II veteran. He was a firefighter, and he instilled upon me the importance of always having a backup, working very hard, and not letting a dollar burn a hole in your pocket. And I've seen so many people that don't heed that advice. Probably the best advice there is. Well, I got involved in stocks and day trading and stuff like this, and yeah, I had some times that did really well, and then I had some times that I had my posterior handed to me. You know, the thing about airline pilots and investing is you keep doing it till all the money's gone. When all the money's gone, that's when you stop. Okay, well, United goes bankrupt, and I'm going, what am I going to do? Well, I had a background I started out in college in nuclear physics, and I had a background in high power microwaves and stuff like that. So I went and actually talked to the people at Fermilab, and I was going to be involved in being hired on as a contractor, being involved in the refurbishment of this, on the left hand side, this tube I'm standing next to. This was a 8 megawatt tube, yes, power amplifier that was used in part of the accelerator down there. And unfortunately, they were having a lot of layoffs due to the Gulf War, and it was funded and then unfunded. Well, what am I going to do? I thought about franchises and stuff like that, and then I thought, well, no, I liked real estate. My wife says, you should get involved in that. So I started out with in investment properties, but then I got involved as a real estate agent because doing that, it's easy to buy and sell property. So I got my real estate license, got my broker's license, managing broker's license. I take tests easily, so that wasn't too hard. But I did close down 3 real estate offices. All 3 offices I worked at, Century 21, GMAC, and Remax. That particular office, not the company, but that particular office all went under, and I don't really take any responsibilities for that, but it happened. I had a good time. It did actually fairly well, and a lot of people didn't understand or realize that wasn't my full-time job. And at times, I was the highest selling agent in the office, which I thought was pretty darn funny. But one thing I got involved in was rehabs, and I took this project on. I mean, it was a disaster. It had a fire. The whole inside was ripped off. I worked 8 months on this thing. This was a disaster, and I didn't make a whole lot of money flipping this. There's a lot of people who, I guess, done this very well. I did okay, but, whatever. Okay, so I started buying some rental houses. I ended up having 10 of them, actually, and I sold off about half of them now. And, typical airline pilot, I sold them too early. The market continued to go up, but I did okay. I made money on them, and that's the whole thing. But you get into problems. Now, this little particular house, there were some people that I trusted, that I worked with, and this was down in Florida. I'm up in Chicago, and I found out later when I was selling it, and she says, "Oh, you bought it for $45,000." I said, "No, I bought it for $80,000." And she goes, "No, well, let me look at this." And she goes, "Oh, there was a double closing." Well, the guy down in Florida who I thought I could trust was an investor. I don't think you can trust investors. And he did a double closing. He bought it for 45, and on the same day he sold it to me for 80, netting a nice profit. And I sold this house for a little bit over 50, and then somebody sold it for like 95. Another person sold it for 160. I couldn't believe it. It was ridiculous. I mean, that was the greater fool theory really working. Here was my very first house I bought, and it wasn't in too bad a condition. Took a fair amount of work, and I've had good luck with renters in this house. And rental property, it's got a lot of tax advantages, and it's a good thing. It's what my dad did, and that's one reason I kind of fell into it. This is the first house I bought in 2004, and the people that started renting this house from me have been there until this present day, 2023. Now, is that a nice deal? And they've been great renters. This is a good house. It's done very well. This was another house I bought, and I think there must be bad karma. It was a couple undergoing divorce, and I virtually never had good renters in this. Now, they say to be a good landlord, it's a business, it's not a charity. Well, I tried to help people out a little bit, and kind of, I guess, the religious background sort of thing. And out of the 6 people I helped, one, appreciated it. The rest kind of screwed me over. Actually, I've sold this house, and it went up again quite a bit after I sold it. But I was kind of glad to get rid of it. I even had one renter said, "Did you know the house is haunted?" and her husband kind of looked at me like whatever, But no, I was kind of glad to get rid of this. I rehabbed this house. I don't know how many times. The last time it was a $30,000 rehab. I mean, I had to replace every single interior door. How do people live like this? And there were a few people I had to evict. Well, only one I had to evict out of this house. I had to evict one person down in Florida. He tried to burn the house down, actually, too. And the people managing it, I wanted to hold his damage deposit since he had done a lot of damage. And he says, no, they're poor. They could sue us and they get free lawyers. It's going to cost you, give them the $800 back. So I did. But it was a big cleanup effort. They just put their junk out, left a lot of it. Yeah, just trash. I mean, here are, your prestigious job as an airline pilot, and then you're dealing with all this stuff. And the other thing I did was a lot of rehab type of stuff. This house was built in 1910. It is constructed with 2x4s that were actually 2 inches by 4 inches. So when I did some work, I had to cut two by sixes down to at least get the depth here. And there was just a lot of work. So now let's talk about some things that are important in retirement. Okay, this is kind of talking about a little bit of the financial aspect where it's good to have something to fall back on and to have something as a source of extra money when they, take away what would have been a very nice pension. And the funny thing about this, Frontline had a story about how the attorneys took away the pension. And people were getting on. I was working at the time that the show showed, and people were getting on my flight, and they were apologizing to me about how terrible it is. And I went back and I saw the show, and one of the attorneys is actually laughing about how they were able to get rid of our pensions and about how wonderful thing it was. I hope there's a special place in where for that guy. Okay, some things that are important. You got to stay healthy. Well, you can't always control that. Uh, if you live old age, good, but cancer can take you out at any time. But I always was involved in physical fitness. Those pictures are a little bit over 35 years apart, but you got to keep your health. You can't just stop working out, stop exercising. You got to work on that. And then hobbies are important. I've been into ham radio since 1978. I took kind of 25 years off, and it has changed. KC0ZN is my call, and it has changed with all this digital stuff. I feel like I woke up after being asleep for a long time because this has really changed. Those are kind of my classic radios there. They're not capable of doing any the new FT8 modes or anything like that. But I got my ham station put back together. There's me working up on the tower, and why is a 73-year-old person up on a tower? Because I got a slightly younger person there with me. I have double harnessed, though, which is something I never had a harness. Well, I did have a harness before, but most of the time I worked without a harness, which wasn't very smart. And you get involved with the local ham radio club, and you have field day sort of things. And then, you get enough pennies together, you can have fun. I have a vet, and I was in the Corvette Club. There's my Turbo 310R for going places. That's fun. And then there's my Great Lakes biplane, which is for playing. And it was up at Oshkosh on display at the Waco booth up there. And, it's fun to have friends and, people you can share a hobby with. And this is the famous, you probably heard of it, the EAA Oshkosh Air Venture Rockettes. Again, a fun group of people. Most of these are airline pilots here. That's why they're being kind of silly. Although they're actually sober at this time. And another important aspect is friends. That's my wife on the right there. This is when we're just starting out. And some friends you keep for a very long time. Others drift away. Sometimes divorce separates the situation. Other times it's a death. And it's good to be involved in professional organizations. This is a bunch of people. My wife and I are on the far left there. These are people involved in the Society of Experimental Test Pilots symposium that was out at being out held in Los Angeles. And then it's good to have just fun activities to do. We live on the lake at Crystal Lake, and I've got a pontoon boat, and we take it up for the concerts that they have during the summer every Tuesday night. Nice here on the left, isn't it? And it's good to have friends. There's a concert once a week, and we have a different group of friends that we invite on the boat, and I have a barbecue on the boat, and I do hamburgers and brats and stuff like that, and we have adult beverages, so it's a real fun time. And there's our view from the boat. The concert shell is to the left there. And like I said, friends are important, but friends sometimes drift away. Sometimes they pass away. And we live on the lake, so there's 4th of July fireworks, and we invite friends over, and that's a fun time. But one thing to remember is, as you go along, the number of people can start to decrease. Parents go away. Those are my parents. They both passed away. But hopefully you can still be engaged with your family and have a lot of fun with them. Go out on various hiking adventures with the grandkids. We get together for Christmas, the entire family, every year. That's just great. My wife enjoys her hobbies she exercises, and she enjoys the hobbies of music. She plays the piano and also plays the flute. And it's important to travel while you can, because as you get older, travel gets to be more difficult. But we're also involved in the arts. I was on the board of directors of the Elgin Symphony Orchestra, and we're also donors to that. So that's fun. And here's another one of Elgin Symphony Orchestra, a recital. And then we're also involved in the Rao Theater, which is a local theater group, and we're donors there, and been involved with them for a long time. That's a lot of fun. And of course, we have a lot of friends who are musicians and personal friends also. And being a donor at the Rao gives you, being a donor anywhere gives you special privileges. You get to do meet and greet. And then activities like going to concerts is fun. This was one of Neil Diamond's last concert performances. And of course, having somebody to share your retirement with. This is my wife of now 52 years. This was our celebration shortly after COVID, when things were still kind of locked down there at a restaurant back at our hometown at Iowa City. Now, I want to comment a little bit about longevity here. We met in the basement of St. Mary's School. That's where my dad actually went to school. And they were having, during Lent, they were having masses down there. And I decided to go to Mass during Lent, and so did my wife. And that's where we met. We met in the basement of the school. Well, they tore the school down, and the Newman Center is there now. So where we met is gone. It's been replaced. This is the restaurant where I proposed to my wife. The building's still there. The restaurant has been gone for a very long time. This is the church we were married in, St. Thomas More, the student parish. Well, it was sold to the university, so it's no longer a church anymore. This is the church I grew up in. I was an altar boy there, and the school is where I'm standing. School was where I'm standing. It was hit by a tornado. Yeah. That place is gone too. On the left is where my school was. It's now an office building. And on the right is the commercial development where the church was. So, my wife and I have outlasted a lot of the physical locations where we met, were married, where I proposed to her, and various other things. But on the first date, I took her out to the Black Angel at the cemetery, and there's a lore that's probably been going on to close to 100 years, that if you kiss a virgin in front of the Black Angel, it'll turn white. Well, I don't know if any of the women are buying that, but that Black Angel has stayed black for a good 100 years or so. Anyway, that's my story about retirement. It could have been better. It could have been a lot worse. You know, you got to recover from the blows that are given to you. And I'm happy. I'm having a fun time and like my goal to live forever. So far, so good. And I'm having fun with YouTube also. So, anyway, that's my story. I hope it gave you some insight. Thanks for watching.